After an Arizona campaign rally that many critics say stoked a radical divide, a racial divide, today President Trump struck a different tone in Nevada.
KCAL9's Peter Daut joins us now with more on the president's call for peace and national unity, which occurred earlier today in Reno, right?
Yeah, Jeff and Lena. Last night was about firing up Trump supporters by bashing the media. Today was about supporting veterans and calling for unity. But some in Washington are now asking if the president is fit for the Oval Office.
This is a big one.
President Trump signed a bill Wednesday making it easier for veterans to appeal decisions on their disability claims. The signing ceremony came after a speech in Reno to veterans at the American Legion Convention.
No longer will veterans be kept waiting for years to get an answer to their appeals.
The president stuck to the script today, asking all Americans to unite.
It is time to heal the wounds that divide us and to seek a new unity based on the common values that unite us.
The call for calm was a stark contrast to his campaign rally speech in Phoenix last night. The president slammed the media, claiming they misrepresented his response to the violent protest that broke out in Charlottesville, Virginia over a week ago.
I hit him with everything. I got the white supremacists, the neo-Nazi, I got them all in there, let's say. But yeah, KKK, we have KKK.
The president also issued a warning to Congress about funding his proposed wall along the southern U.S. border.
Believe me, if we have to close down our government, we're building that wall.
That threat sounded all the more bizarre considering the long history of campaign promises about funding for the wall.
Who is going to pay for the wall?
House Speaker Paul Ryan was asked today about the shutdown.
Well, I don't think a government shutdown is necessary, and I don't think most people want to see a government shutdown.
House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi slammed the president for making the threat, saying, "Make no mistake, the president said he will purposefully hurt American communities to force American taxpayers to fund an immoral, ineffective, and expensive border wall." Last night's speech also stunned former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper. He questions whether the president is fit for the job.
Having some understanding of the levers of power that are available to a president if he chooses to exercise them. I found this downright scary and disturbing.
But Arizona Congressman Trent Franks called Clapper's comment nonsense.
I think that's a disgusting thing for him to say. If he had been there, he would at least know in his own mind that what he's saying wasn't true.
But I said, Mitch, get to work and let's get it done.
Attacking some Republicans, including supposed ally Republican leader Mitch McConnell, is also strategic. The president needs to show his base he is still committed to populism, despite firing chief strategist Steve Bannon. McConnell and the president haven't spoken in weeks, and the senator's aides say the president's erratic rhetoric and GOP bashing threaten the party's entire agenda. McConnell is now insisting that he and Trump are unified on policy goals, but he had a few warm words about the relationship. The White House then echoed that statement. Meanwhile, the White House is not backing down from the president's threat to shut down the government if he does not get the money to build the border wall. Back to you.
Well, Peter, I have a question about this email from a top aide to President Trump. It's now being investigated. What do we know about that email and about the investigation?
Yeah, Jeff. CNN is now reporting the email detailed an effort to arrange a meeting between top Trump officials and Russian President Vladimir Putin during the campaign. Multiple sources say the email was sent to campaign officials last year from Rick Dearborn, who is now President Trump's deputy chief of staff. In the email, he is relaying information about someone seeking to connect Trump officials with Putin. While many details remain unclear, its existence suggests that the Russians may have been looking for another entry point into the Trump campaign as part of an effort to discredit and ultimately defeat Hillary Clinton. Back to you, Jeff and Lena.